You ever lost your phone, you would know that what's on your phone is super valuable, but without the code to unlock it, it's useless. It's the same way with your birth chart. So, having the birth chart, knowing this about yourself is super useful and valuable, but without the way to understand it and decode it, it's useless to know the birth chart. So, in this episode, I want to talk through how to start to read your birth chart and what you're looking at when you see the chart, how to make use of it, and the three most important things to focus on to start with, and then where to go deeper from there. So, we're going to go into all this inside of the Become Your Own Astrologer workshop, all new for 2025. Full new workbook, 50 plus pages, super useful, super powerful. Quietmindastrology.com/workshop to join us live for that. So I've got here Beyonce's birth chart, which we now have a accurate birth time because it came out from her biography. So she's born in Houston, Texas, September 4th, 1981 at 21:47. And she has Aries Rising. So that is the first of the big three that I think are essential to know to decode your chart. Because if you don't have the ascendant, then you don't know the houses, you don't know so much about the chart. You can do a reading without the ascendant. If you don't know your exact birth time, you can't really use the ascendant because that's going to shape where all the houses are. So it really helps to have the accurate birth time, especially with celebrity horoscopes like this. When I'm looking at celebrity charts, usually I don't have a reliable birth time unless it's been in a biography or something like that. But I do have an episode on astrology without a birth time for the process of how to narrow that down. A lot of astrologers charge like $400 for this service, the rectification. I don't think it needs to be that complicated. I found ways to do it that are super accurate and simple. And anytime I do a reading with somebody, it's included. So if you're not sure about your birth time, just book a reading with me. We'll go through it. I'll help you clarify your time of birth and what the rising sign most likely is, and this helps us understand the whole rest of the chart in a lot more detail. So that's the first of the big three is the ascendant. What's rising on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth? That is now determining where all the houses land. Second is the moon. This is your mind and your emotions, our feeling sense, and this helps us understand so much about our inner world. The ascendant, how people see us, our perception, our personality, our identity. It shapes all the rest of the houses, all the areas of life, how they land. The moon is now what's happening internally. So I don't know what's happening in your mind unless I'm very intuitive or a mind reader or very good at psychology. But there's a lot happening internally that's in the moon sign. Now, some people have the moon and the rising in the same sign, even the same nakshatra. So they're going to be very similar. So what somebody's thinking and how they're perceived can be very much related. Now, you might have your moon somewhere very different than your ascendant. So what's happening internally might be very different than what you are showing externally. The moon also tells us a lot about the relationship with the mother, and if the person becomes a mother, their own maternal energies as well. The sun is the father and the paternal energy. So whether the person is a father or has a father energy in their life or what their father was like can be understood through the sun placement. This is also where you shine and where your radiance is and where your light is and where people see you in the spotlight. So Beyonce has sun in Leo, and that's a very much leadership, strong leader kind of energy. So for your own chart, you want to look to the ascendant, the moon, and the sun. These are considered the big three in astrology. But like Beyonce, if you have three or more placements in one sign, then that sign may also be highly influential in the chart and maybe even more influential than the big three. This is going to go case by case. There's an intuitive art to this. It's not just a logical step by step to this. But she has 5 placements in Virgo, and none of them are the big three, the ascendant, moon, or the sun. So Virgo energy is going to be very, very influential in her chart, almost as if it were her rising sign, but her rising sign is Aries. So she has moon in Scorpio, rising Aries, and sun in Leo, but she's got 5 placements in Virgo. So all of those signs are going to be very influential for her, not just the big three. So now, how do you start to decode it? Well, first you got to understand the energies of the signs and energies of the big three that are at play. So again, the ascendant is the what's rising at the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth. There's a sort of movement energy. There's something coming up to the surface, and there's a sense of a new thing coming into being. So wherever the ascendant is in your chart is where you are rising into this thing. It's your sense of self. Now here I am. This is me. This is what we're seeing. And the rising sign can be happening any time of day because like she's born at 21:47, right? So that's not early, that's late. And that's more nighttime energy. So the time of day is a whole other topic, but the rising sign is what's coming up for you, where you're coming into this part of yourself, almost like Rahu, which is more of your purpose and drive and your passion in this lifetime. The rising sign is what you're rising into, and she has Ashwini Nakshatra there inside of Aries. So in the free workshop, we're just going to focus on the signs to keep it simple, but the signs can get more and more precise down to smaller divisions into nakshatras and even padas. So there's actually not just 12 possible signs you can have, but 108. But we save that for the mentorship and deeper topics. To keep it simple, it is very useful to know the main 12 signs. So somebody with Aries ascendant, you think of the Aries energy, the symbol of a ram, this initiative. It's the first sign of the zodiac, and it's this beginning energy, starting energy. So anyone who has a strong Aries energy is going to be somebody who is a starter, a leader, somebody who initiates things and has a ability to start new things. Now with that, there's always a shadow side to everything. So the shadow of Aries is maybe starting too many things, being impatient, being unreliable, and full of ideas, but lacking the follow through and the execution on them. Maybe being impulsive and starting things and kind of abruptly ending them or abruptly beginning new things. Sometimes anger, frustration, these are emotions that move quickly through the system. Strong sympathetic nervous system reactions could be seen through strong Aries placements. And in my way of speaking and what I'm talking about, something being strong, it means that there's ascendant, sun, or moon there, or three or more placements. That typically means that sign is very influential. Rahu is also a very strong example of this, but that's for another topic for another time. But today, to keep it simple, the big three, ascendant, sun, and moon. And then if you have three more placements in a sign, that sign is almost like a big four now. And then the moon and the Scorpio energy. So Scorpio is like a scorpion. So if we see a scorpion, it's a little bit scary. It seems like it's possibly going to sting us. It could be dangerous. And it tends to be appearing out of nowhere, like it's hiding. And if you've ever been around scorpions, like in Mexico, there's a lot of scorpions and they can kind of get through almost any opening. Like there's just a little bit of an opening through the door or a wall or a window. They magically somehow get through it. But they're actually more afraid of humans than we are of them. It's a misunderstanding about scorpions. They don't want to sting you. It actually takes a lot of their energy to sting you. So they're very selective. If they're going to do it, it's because they feel very threatened and they feel like they have to do it. But they prefer not to. And if usually when you approach a scorpion as a human, they're going to shrink up. I don't know how else. I guess we're all going to approach them as humans. I don't know how else you might approach them. Maybe you see a cat approach them. My cat will just stay far away from a scorpion. She won't play with it. She won't go near it. She just avoids it. So approaching it as a cat, if you are a cat listening, then you're probably going to avoid the scorpion. But as a human, you're probably going to be scared of it. But if you notice as you get close, maybe try to take it outside or something or put it in a jar and move it, they tend to get very scared. So they have this intensity, but there's actually a bit of a fear there. Right? We look at the Aries, the ram. This is something that's aggressive. They assert their dominance. A scorpion is protecting itself. It can be dominant. It can sting you, can hurt you. Even some of them are fatal, but it's rare. But generally, they don't want to, but they will if they have to. So they have this intensity to them, this secretiveness. Where are they hiding? You don't know. Whereas a ram, you know where it is. It's not trying to hide. It's very direct and to the point. And the zodiac signs typically go from more gross to more subtle. So we go from Aries to Pisces. with the fish being more and more subtle than the ram of Aries. And the scorpion somewhere in the middle there at the eighth sign of the zodiac. So it's a bit intense, a bit secretive, a bit mysterious. So there's an internal world for Beyonce as the moon in Scorpio. That's a bit internal, mysterious, but it's in Vishaka Nakshatra, which is very ambitious, very good for somebody who's like an entrepreneur or performer or wants to have a lot of success. Anyone who has Vishaka placements in their chart, especially in the Scorpio side. So then the sun in Leo, well, what is Leo? It's the lion, right? So knowing the symbols of the zodiac gets you pretty far into understanding the energies of them. The lion is the king of the jungle. If you've ever been around a lion in real life, their roar is super impressive, very powerful, very strong, and very dangerous. And they can kill a lot of things, but they also tend to conserve their energy. But when they are in the hunt and when they need to strike, they will, and you don't want to be in their path. So they command respect and authority. And just like in the movie The Lion King, the way the lion is the king of the jungle and respected by the other animals, there's this element to the Leo energy where whoever has strong Leo placements is typically respected by others. They have a sense of authority and leadership and gravity. And without even necessarily having to do a lot, they definitely do things, but there's a sense of presence and energy around them just by being. And when you have the sun there, it's amplified even more. So that's the sense of self, the leadership ability. The sun actually rules Leo. So these are very harmonious energies. So obviously, Beyonce is an amazing leader. She has all these things I just talked about apply to her. And she's a great example of the sun and Leo energy. Also often seen in kings and queens and rulers and performers. Somebody like Michael Jackson, the king of pop as well. And then we have all the Virgo energy, which is not the sun, moon, or ascendant, but it's very strong with Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Pluto there. So she is very detailed, and her dresses and her dances are very precise. She has very choreographed performances that are very beautiful and graceful and very thought out. And she's quite a perfectionist in a lot of ways. So those are the Virgo sides coming out. So the Virgo energy is very strong as well. And the Virgo symbol is a woman bringing Ayurvedic herbs, a healer, a doctor kind of energy. Now, Beyonce is not necessarily a healer or doctor, but her music is very powerful, and music is often considered a form of medicine. And to have Venus there, the performer, the art, the artistic expression, and Mercury, the communication, and Jupiter, the expansion and growth, Saturn, the discipline, these are all very nice energies and factors here for her to be a great performer and artist. And in her daily life, she's probably very precise about her health and her diet to maintain her fitness and her health and her image and everything. That's Saturn in the sixth house of daily routine, and Virgo, which is very precise. Right. So I'm adding some layers here. I'm going a little deeper. I'm not going to go so deep beyond this right now because I want to bring to the main point of today's episode is that if you want to start to read your chart, you got to start with something. And the best thing you can start with is the big three, the ascendant, the moon, and the sun. And then if you have three or more placements in a sign, that sign as well. Now, in the free workshop, I give you a chart to help you start to decode this yourself. So you put together the energies of the placement with the sign, and you start to interpret. And that gives you a really good foundation to do everything else with the nakshatras, with the rulers, with the divisional charts. All these other things have to start from somewhere. And this is a really good foundation. It's your big three, ascendant, moon, and sun. And again, it's a free guide, free workbook. I've put a lot of time into it. I'm very happy with it. I spent the whole last week, all week, just working on the updates to the workbook for this year. Very happy with it. So even if you've taken it before, it's all new. And this is my most popular event of the year. So I'm excited to share it with you and excited to make it the best it can be and really help you go on this journey. So even if you're far along on the journey, this is coming back to the basics and foundation and building on it. And I think you're actually going to find a lot of cool things that you haven't seen before and new perspectives that I haven't seen before as I continue to refine. And I've worked with thousands of students over the years to see how I can best teach astrology and best make this something we can use to thrive in our health, wealth, relationships, and purpose. That's what I'll be sharing at the workshop. So quietmindastrology.com/workshop if you want to join us live on Thursday. That is August 14th. But if you catch it later, you can catch the replay. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day and look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Quiet Mind Astrology podcast.